Hello and welcome to Business Exposed, the podcast which discusses the unfiltered truth along with the reality of day-to-day life of running a business. Hosted by myself, Alan McMillan and Lynn McMaster. Today's guest is Vikki Ridler from Fifth Avenue Homes. Vikki's modern approach to actively selling real estate over traditional methods is proving a success. However, is putting yourself in the spotlight daily for the world to see actually the reality of your life. Today we discuss what goes on behind the camera, the highs, the lows and everything in between when it comes to running a modern real estate business. We'd appreciate if you can like and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on and also share with as many people as possible. So for now, sit back, relax and let's get right into it. Listen, thanks very much for joining us. I know you're a busy individual, so I'm just going to get straight to it. So the first point I really want to ask you is, like, where was the turning point? You've obviously had quite a big corporate career previously, so where was like the turning point that you decided, like, I need out of this and I'm going to go on my own?
So I look at corporate completely different. So I worked for like a corporate agency and I worked there for 17 years.
Right.
And the reason that, my career took me from the corporate side of it, which was, you know, your standard high street estate agency, to then going to an independent. And it wasn't anything where I looked at it and went, oh, I can make more money on my own or I could do this or anything like that. The reality was I was a single mum. My kids, they probably needed me more than I thought that they did in terms of the running around and everything else. And life just got so busy that, see, when it came to like a Sunday night, I was filled with absolute dread that I had to face the week again. It was almost like, oh, right, okay, I can breathe, it's the weekend. And then Sunday I was like, oh, it's going to start again, because like my week, and I still talk about this now, but my week is, I don't sit down from taking that first gasp of air on a Monday to a Friday night where I go, okay, I can relax again. Like, it is constantly on the go. And it's at one point I thought, something has to give here that is going to make my life easier. And when I decided to go out on my own, it was like absolutely terrifying. Absolutely, like, I was like, can I do this? Will I do this? But I felt like at that time I had no other option. I had to try it and give it 100%, or I was going to absolutely, not necessarily like, I was going to fold at some point, that it wouldn't have been manageable for anything. It wasn't manageable the way I was going with things, but again, it was family. First and foremost, family's everything.
Aye. No, listen, I completely understand that, because I can remember I had a probably a similar moment when I was working up in Dundee. And it was the same. It was a Monday morning. I used to dread like the Sunday night.
Yeah.
And the Monday morning, I'll never forget it, right? 6 o'clock in the morning, I was standing in the shower, right? I'm not even ashamed to admit it, but I could be standing in the shower crying. And I was like, there must be a way out. Like, there's got to be like some other option. But I think the difficulty is, and you've been the same in your previous job, like, you're in a job and you're making good money.
Yeah.
And you can sometimes like kind of feel trapped to an
Yeah.
extent.
Especially if you're the only one to rely on financially.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
that's a different aspect altogether, isn't it? When you're a single mum and it all lands on your shoulders.
And the last job that I had when I worked for somebody else, I was really well paid for doing what I was doing, but I worked to get that, because obviously every estate agent, especially if you work for somebody else, will be commission based. So I had to list the numbers, but the numbers were crazy, and it was a great result. But in the back of it, you're going, I need to keep going at this momentum to get what I need for my family. And that, exactly as you said, like that Sunday night and not being ashamed to cry, like, it happened to me on Thursdays. Like, see, by a Thursday night, I was like, something needs to give. Like, I genuinely was at that point going, oh, this is just unmanageable. It's just not for me. And then by the Friday, it was like a new lease of life, because I was like, oh, the weekend's coming. But then it started again, that cycle of everything that you were going through.
Aye, I think it's a guy said to me once, it really stuck with me, right? And he said it's just the same, because at the end of the day, I'm from a sales background, regardless of the product is different, but still the same journey. And what you've described, as he said to me, is like, what you're doing is like a Premiership footballer. The career, it can't last like forever. Like, see, like that level you're operating at, you just can't operate like that. Like, and obviously what we're going to talk about is having your own business is like another level of operation. But like that like level, you simply can't. It's like a job where you can only do it for a period of time. and then something has to give. But I mean, see, starting your own business, what do you think is like the sort of biggest like misconception that people have, like when you start your own business? I know, in fact, I really wish we had actually recorded what the conversation we just had previous year. But like, what do you think the biggest misconception is people have now of people who want to start their own business and think, oh, maybe I want to be like that, but they don't really understand?
I went in, and I think this is something that's a positive and also like it's like a double-edged sword, because I expected to be busy straight away. And it does, like, why is my phone not ringing? Like, what's going on? Because where I worked before, they had already grown their brand. Like, I was just part of it that was in there. And coming away from it, like, I had no clue about running a business. None of my family have a business. So I was going into it completely blind. I didn't have anybody advising me, because obviously when you walk away, I'm like, right, okay, what do I need to do? And I had to scramble around for everybody that sort of tried to help me with accountants. I had to like, what do you need to do for legislation? Like all of these different things, which actually took the biggest time out. And the other side, I think that was also a positive for me, because I've learned that all now. Now, obviously, I've rebranded and gone completely on my own. Yeah. But I've done it so much quicker, faster and everything else that it's given me a little bit more experience. But bearing in mind that's only been 6 months. And going from that sort of thinking, I mean, don't get me wrong, I was listing maybe between 30 to 50 houses a month. I'm not listing that.
Aye.
But again, I thought, well, even if I could list 20, that was probably the biggest wake-up call that, I need to go out and I need to make sure that I'm getting at least somebody to speak to that's got a house to sell and everything else, because it doesn't. If you're sitting there going, it's just going to come to me. Like, you could be, like, for me, I've been in the industry for 20 years, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I just walk away and somebody goes, oh, I'm going to go with you or anything like that. You have to really, really work for everything that you're doing. And that's a phone call, that's recommendations, that's networking, that's everything that I do behind the scenes. Yeah. Which nobody probably sees as much of.
Aye. It is quite a difficult one, because I know you kind of briefly touched on it when I watched your podcast you done with Sean, and I think he asked you like, where do you see the future in terms of, you know, scaling the business? But it is a difficult one, because I often think the same thing myself. Like, if I like, to me, it doesn't matter what company that you work for, whether it was Solo or your previous companies or Fifth Avenue, right? If I want to, you know, bring you on to sell my property, from what I see you do, I'm buying you. You're the brand. Yeah. And I think it's quite difficult when you've got what you've got, and all we're in a similar position. Like, we are the brand, and then suddenly, like, if I call up Fifth Avenue and then you say to me, "Oh, I'm going to send John. He's coming down to the house." I don't know if it has the same like.
It definitely doesn't, and I think probably more now. And I was saying this to Orla, who is my social media manager, but I was like, when we talk about scaling the business, like, I've got it nice right now where I still have that balance. Mm-hmm. Or do I? That's always another question that creeps back in. Do I have that work-life balance? But the reality is like, if I list more and more properties, I'm going to have to bring more and more people in. And then that is the risk of, do people want that? Do people want somebody, like, if you came to work for me and then I sent you out to value Lynn's house or anything like that, and Lynn's bought into me, would that still have the same effect?
I think if you were getting someone that's got a similar personality to you, it would be easier. Yeah. The difficulty would be if you were taking someone on, I think, and it's not got the same vibe, not got the same enthusiasm, excitement and drive and, you know, vivacious personality kind of thing. That's where I think it would not work.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the biggest lesson that I have learned being on my own as well, is for me looking at what who I'm going to hire and what that role looks like, is I don't know. Eventually I will need somebody, but I think like it has to be someone real, it has to be someone genuine. I don't care if they have estate agency experience. They could be selling, like as you say, sales is sales. Like, as long as you can talk to a person and you can understand what they're looking for, then I think like if they have the personality, if they have that drive, then
it's the skills
half
that they
the battle.
need.
The skills can be taught.
They can be taught.
Yeah,
if you've got the personality, the skills can always be taught. I think at the end of the day, it's if you've not got that customer awareness
Aye.
of how people operate and how people think, that's when it becomes really difficult.
Those skills, I just think you can't teach. You know, those ones are unteachable.
No, I
like
think
see having that, like the ability when you to like genuinely care about a customer and genuinely, like, at the end of the day, like, we're all in a solutions based business.
Yeah.
So like, you know, if you don't have it in you to like genuinely care, I mean, like when I worked in the motor trade and I had like a lot of sales guys working for me. The ones that I hated when I seen somebody who they were like focused on like, oh, well, if I sell this many cars, this is how much money I was going to make. I'm like, no, that's the byproduct. The money's the byproduct of like delivering a good service.
Yeah.
You know, if you deliver a good service and like you're like genuine, sincere and want to look after somebody, you cannot be the best and not get paid. It doesn't work like that. The money's the byproduct.
Correct. And it works tenfold because people never forget, and I always say this, people never forget how you make them feel.
Yeah.
So that works where they'll go, oh, do you know what? I had such a great service from Alan. Go and speak to him if you're going to look and buy a car.
1,000,000%.
And that's why it's so important, regardless of what you're selling, regardless of what you do, is you do it right from the very off, that
That's
you
right.
are completely genuine, and you can't fake it. You can't, because it falls down. You get exposed. Like, you cannot fake being genuine.
No.
I've seen people, right? I've seen people who have faked it and still to this day I see some people are faking it and they don't have a long lasting career. You see them hopping about, you watch it and you can know I know that person's going to there, and see in 6 months they'll not be there, because what will happen is they'll be exposed, right, or they'll expose themselves, and you can watch them hopping. But going back to like the sort of business part, like from leaving from your previous job, like what was the scariest part? Like, see, like when in the actual, like the day you left your previous sort of corporate job to set up your own business, like what was the scariest part for you? Was it the financial part? Like, of going, hold on, I'm leaving this job and no income. What was the scariest part for you?
It was all in my head, like thinking it wouldn't work.
Right, okay.
Like a genuine, as much as I know that I'm good at what I do, it was that self-doubt in my head going...
That wee voice.
And it was loud as anything, that little voice going, what? And it was almost like, because when you leave something, and it doesn't matter what you're, especially if it's sort of well documented on social media and everything else,
the precedent's been set.
You have to do it.
Yep.
And I think that was probably the bit in me where I have to do it, but also, can I do it? And I never, and this is just me in life, just how I was, and this changed for me maybe about 7 years ago, where my health took a turn. So I never worry about the next step as such. But I do worry about, and that's in life, like with everything. Yeah. But also at that time, it was, right, it's on me now. It was on me before, but it's intensified by 1,000,000% that it is on me now to deliver and get an income coming in for my family. Like, everything costs more. Just because you've left somewhere where you've no income, your bills don't stop because you've no income. They actually, they're like, now...
the bank's not giving you a breather just because you're...
absolutely not. Yeah. So it was all of these things that it was a constant worry, and probably for me, I thought it would happen a lot quicker as well, that I would be getting income in. And when you're in the bones of everything, you're going... Right, okay, because estate agents don't get paid until a house sells. No. So it makes you work harder. It really does. And your focus is there to make sure that you are going to be performing. And there's every single plate you have to be spinning. And I probably, that for me at the time, going, am I going to be able to do it? That doubt does still come into my head, and it will still, everybody will be exactly the same. But that was the most terrifying part, was I'd already left and I had to deliver. Yeah. But also from the other side of it was keeping my mind going, you can do this. Yeah. And
I think sometimes the fear drives you forward quicker. You know, if you've got that, it's a good fear. If you can have a good fear and a bad fear, but the good fear, if you're on your own, you know that will push you forward even faster, because you know it all ends on you. So it's a kind of good way to look at it. A positive way to look at it, as opposed to a negative way of looking at it.
No, you're right.
But social media is something you are super at. I've watched you. You're on all Instagram. I've watched you on all of them. But it does glamorise not you specifically.
Yep.
But social media does glamorize some, business owners, and there's been a lot of ones documented that have fallen by the wayside that have actually suffered their health-wise because of it. How do you keep it going so well?
I make a point to, when I'm posting on social media, is I make a point to make sure that people know a little bit more about me. And it is just the genuine side of it. Like, I'm still a mum.
Yeah.
First and foremost, regardless of what my career takes me to, is my first priority is being a good mum. And showing a little bit more about my life as well. The good, the highs are great, brilliant, fantastic, celebrating them, but also showing the lows. Saying thank you to people, because I go through this. Like, I done a video last week where I was like, thank you so much, guys. Like, I've came away from this having to start again and going, I've got a full diary. Like, that's what I'm thankful for. Like, thank you so much. Even if they don't come on with me, you've given me a chance. And I think that's the sort of nice side of it. The glamour side of it, I mean, do I show glamorous side of it?
Yeah, you definitely have nailed that.
Well, you've got a lot of followers, so I think that's evident.
But something that you're good at is what we were discussing before, is like you've showed the other part of it, like you are still a mum, because you sometimes look at these ones on social media and you think, how do they fit all that into their one day? Because they have the same hours in the day that I have.
Yeah.
But as I say, you're a mum, you've got school runs to do, dogs to walk, you've still got to feed everybody, so that involves going to the shops for the food, you've still got to cook it. Where does all that time go? And you just seem to, it comes across on social media that it's effortless. This is just all happening.
100% not effortless.
But you've got a good balance of both, is what I'm trying to say.
And I think, like, I never think of myself as an organised person. But see, if something falls down in my personal life, that for me is one of the things that can absolutely floor me. So everything has to be running as smoothly as I can.
It's like a military operation in the background, isn't it?
I would love for somebody to do a fly in the wall of actually what happens. Like, speak to my family. Like, my daughter, I laugh so much. My daughter's 14, but the other day there, she claimed that I was bipolar. And I was like, do you even know what that means? And she was like, no. And she was like, just like how you are. And I was like, no, because I need to have it all running smoothly.
Yeah.
So
because if one ball drops, it's like a domino effect, isn't it?
It's like a bomb going off in my life. Like, you cannot have that happening. And that's why when I go into work mode as well, because there's a fine line between both, where you're juggling both, especially when you work for yourself. But also, like, when I'm in work mode, I'm in work mode. So that means that, like, the other day there, the schools were off, but I had to work. So it meant that, guys, listen, for the hours of between 10 and 2, I need to get as much paperwork done as possible. Then I'm going to be going out. Then I'm coming back. I'm going to cook your guys dinner. And then we've got, like, double football runs. And by the way, and in between that time, that gives me a period of 2 hours again, which means I can be going and doing something else. I can be working in, like... Technology is so good that you can basically work from anywhere.
Yeah. Car parks and football.
100%.
And that is the reality of most people's life, is the mundane sort of being stuck in the office 9 to 5. Actually, people are more productive. I am way more productive now than what I've ever been, but it's because I have to be.
You have to be.
Yeah, and it's on you, and it makes you work so much harder.
No, 100%. See what you were saying there. What's your opinion on, like, I appreciate, because I'm the same. Like, I'll do the same on emails and stuff while the kids are at football and all that kind of stuff, right? But what's your opinion on, like, I used to, like, and well, I've all worked with people, right? Like, bosses and managers that say, like, oh, you need to leave, like, your personal life at the front door, right? Now, my opinion is I don't think that's possible, right? Because, like, if you've got, whatever is going on in your personal life, whether that's, like, relationship problems, family members that are ill or whatever, I don't think it's possible to literally leave that at the door, and it does have an effect.
It does spill over.
Like, if something happened, if I get bad news before this podcast, there's no way I would be in. I might appear, but there's no way I would be delivering to my absolute, like, peak performance.
Exactly.
But I mean, I don't know. Do you? Do you have that opinion, or do you like?
I think you still have to do it, but it's like you say, it's not going to be the 100% that you would normally have given. It'll be like you'll be operating on 70 because your back mind is still on whatever argument you've had with your partner. And I think that is, like, this is
everybody's problems that you're sort of, and for me, I talk about this quite a lot, but it'd been nice if most of my appointments were people that were, you know, expanding their family and moving to a bigger home. But the reality is it's not. It's, you know, it's separations, it's financial troubles, it's all of these different things.
All
it's
that
death,
kind of stuff.
absolutely. And it's going into
you've
that.
got to be able to deal with it as well.
Yeah, but you know, we were speaking about this beforehand, but regardless of how I feel and everything else, I get that, where you've had somebody tell you in the past, like, leave your personal problems or anything like that. But when I'm coming into a situation that I can help with, I'll do everything that I can to help with that. But equally, I think as employers, and certainly I'm very wary of this, but to recognise it in others as well. I
100%.
think some people go to work to offload of what life is and how busy and everything else, and
to escape it.
It's some sort of escapism that you have to sort of see that in people, that if they just want that chat with you as well. And there's half the time that I'm in appointments and, you know, somebody could be talking about a separation and I'm like, well, I remember when that happened to me. And and it's just having that conversation. Well, sometimes it isn't just about the house. You're sitting talking to somebody and,
that's
like,
it.
you know, somebody that's been
it's
through
relating
something.
to them on a personal level and showing a bit of empathy. And that is also, it's not like a skill set. It's because you're a genuine person and you want to help and you've been there and you're happy to share because, you know, it's something that you've got in common. It's a common ground.
I think with anything, when you're going through something as monumentous or anything like that, it doesn't necessarily be the estate agent or anything. It's just human human care anyway. But see, when you've got somebody like they can't see a way out of it, and you're going, listen, you will be able to be okay, but this is what you're going to have to do. It can help people massively. Yeah,
guiding them.
Yeah.
Because you've been there and you've got that experience. That's massive.
Yeah.
Because there will be people that'll have sailed through life that nothing has touched them really.
Yeah.
Thankfully, you wouldn't wish it on anybody and good luck to them. But that individual would handle that same situation in an entirely different, maybe colder, maybe, off manner that will leave a lasting impression to that person that they're dealing with, and it's important.
It totally is, but it could be anything. And I think, like, just even going on to the sort of route of separations, and I'm using this as an example, but what I feel now when I go into an appointment, and that is the sort of cause of a separation, is one seems to know more than the other. In any relationship, it could be, and that's the one that I tend to meet is the one that doesn't really know. And I'll go, right, okay.
They've been left in the situation almost.
It might be, but it could be like if one seems to know about the finances more than the other, and everything else. So it's going, right, okay, so what I always look at it is, what happens next for you? Do you know yet? And that'll lead the conversation of that plan that I need to put in place for them. And it's not just about estate agency. It could be, do you need a family lawyer? Do you need this? And I can help you with this. Because they might not come back to me for a year. They might not come back to me straight away, but they've known what to do in the sort of background behind it as well. And that's why I always stand by it. And my motto through everything is, people never forget how you made them feel.
Aye. 1,000,000%. I think certainly as this, what we do, I know we're in slightly different sectors, but within this property world, it certainly does make you more humbled when you realise, as you say, especially what you're doing, there's always like a rooted reason for whatever that sale is, right? And it's not what people generally think it is. And then when you start realising people's personal circumstances, you realise some things that people are going through are really, really traumatic, and you're seeing that right at the coalface. But that's what people don't see. What we do. People don't see that when they're seeing it on any of us on social media or whatever it may be. They're just seeing you listing a house, but they're not realising. Maybe you've experienced a bit of trauma even in being involved with that deal, seeing whatever the situation, whatever the situation is.
Yep, definitely. What are the biggest sacrifices do you think you've made leaving the corporate world and going out on your own?
I think financially, there's a lot of things that I probably can't do right now.
Yeah.
That I would have liked to, like booking holidays with the kids or anything like that, or even like there's various different pressures now that is on me because it's just myself and obviously I've got Orla as well, but like my daughter is having the most amazing time of her footballing career, like, and she's only 14.
Yeah.
But she's travelling all over the place, and I'm looking at it going, well, I can only go a day here for your tournament now. So she's with this Scotland school squad to Ireland in April. And I'm like, oh, that's great, but it's 4 days. And I'm like, I can't be in Ireland for 4 days, so I can only go for one. And anybody that sort of knows the background of me knows that family was the biggest reason that I moved out and done what I done in terms of working for myself.
Yeah.
And I've always been the one that done the football runs. It's always lay on me. So that is like, that kills me.
Yeah.
That I can only go for the one day. And it's like the week after, it's my partner's birthday. And I'm like, oh, do you want to do something? Like, this is in April. Do you want to do something in December? Like it's just your free time is not free time anymore. It's you're constantly looking at everything going, I'll try and do the very best that I can do right now, but I'm sacrificing a lot in terms of what I wanted. Like my grand plan on everything and what I thought was I was going to build a business and I was going to work 3 days a week and, you know, life was going to be good. I'm going to do the school runs and I'm going to do all of that when actually, I might be doing the school runs, but I'm not doing the bits that will actually give me the biggest
joy.
Fulfillment.
I think we were exactly the same with starting a business, and we tried to get the kids on side at the very start. We tried to sit them down. We thought, we'll do it right. We'll sit them down. We'll say, look, we're starting a business. Things are going to be maybe a wee bit tighter for the next, well, we thought maybe 18 months roughly. And the reality of that is nowhere near 18 months because it's starting a business. It's money out all the time. It's continual and not a lot coming back in the way. So you're making sacrifices all the time that, you know, maybe not going to be going out to the cinema this weekend and
100%.
and that kind of stuff, and that does have a knock-on effect with the kids. And even then I'm sitting still at my laptop at 11 o'clock at night and you know, trying to do bits and pieces, and they're trying to come in and say, do you want to watch a movie with me? And I'm like that.
But it does make you value, like, the one thing that we always sit down together at night, that's a non-negotiable. So there's non-negotiables and there's the bits that I need to be like, okay, well, I can only come to Ireland for one day. But it's like even just the small things, like having that conversation, or like the things that I value most is that travel down to dropping them off at training or talking to them after their game and still letting them know that I'm there, but also like they understand. But I also have a 14-year-old and a 12-year-old who are going through the teenage years and the high school and everything else, and their demands are higher and
that's right.
The costs are higher, everything. And sometimes it is going, like Freya, I have had to pay out, like she's just went into a new, like, and like the performance team at our club, which is great, but that's an amazing achievement for her, but it also meant there was £180 for me to buy new. And I'm like, £180, and it actually, you're going to it, well, they come first. That was always a priority. They come first. So £180 means that I need to find that from somewhere else, but I need to add that like if it's for me and everything else, well, no.
But the thing is, that's what I think a lot of people who have maybe never been involved in a business don't really see, because like they'll just, like, for example, just using yourself for example, right, they'll see, right, you've started solo, right, all right, okay, business is flying, but what they don't see, as you just said a minute ago, is you'll have not made any money until the first sale's completed. So there's quite a lot of lag time on there. But I think it's definitely good to get the kids involved. I mean, my kids are only 4 and 5, and even though obviously I've been doing this for a couple of years, they were still young when they started. And like I was the same. Like the life I had before, to the outside world, people probably thought like I was doing well, right? You know, having a good job, had a good salary, we had a nice house, nice Land Rover, everything from the outside looked good. But, you know, deep down, as we said earlier on, I was probably breaking inside. Right?
You weren't happy crying in the shower.
100%. But then what happens is the needle moves and you set up your own business, and everybody thinks on day one, Right, you're like
You've
a
made
successful one. You've made it. Like you're a successful entrepreneur now. But then what they don't see is what we've just discussed. Like I was just saying, like in the shops, well, I know, and I'm like boys, I'm sorry, like you need to, like you can't just go into the shops in the supermarket and just pick up like whatever you want. Like and back to the holidays thing. I used to go holidays like 4 times a year. I've not been on a holiday in 3 years.
That's it.
All my kids are saying to me, Dad, when are we going to go on holiday? I'm like, I don't know. Right now, honestly, I don't know. Right, you know, I don't know. But again, it's just people think the needle moves. Right, you've made it now and day one of setting up a business. You've not even made a penny at that point in time. And that is the
I think
reality.
That was one of the reasons I wanted to speak to the kids, because it brings different pressures than, you know, the pressures that you were feeling on a Sunday night before you were going back to your corporate job on the Monday was bad enough. Yeah. But then when you're starting out on your own and money's a little bit tighter and there's sacrifices being made day and daily, you know, that we'll watch a movie tonight, but you're only getting, there's one bag of popcorn between the 3 of us tonight.
Yeah.
But you know, it's when it's down to that kind of thing, it's a different pressure, but it's a better pressure because you know it's for a better end eventually.
And that's the thing I think people don't know is that you've put so well is it's not just you that sacrifices. It's everyone that's in your family.
Yeah, that's it.
And it's nice because they're also your biggest support.
Yeah.
And they obviously all want to help, like anything that they could do.
Yeah.
Like I wish like you talk about like personality and everything else. I've raised a mini me, and I would love. Like she's 14. I'm like, you know, if it doesn't work out for you being a footballer, like I'd love for you being a staging because
there's your next employee then.
She can negotiate, like her negotiation skills with me, who is a trained negotiator for the property sales, is unbelievable. But she's like, nah, I hear you on the phone, like, no, that's too hard.
Yeah.
Well, I think it is though. I think again that's interesting because I always like try and bring my kids on the journey as well as much as I can, right?
Yeah.
Like try and bring them on,
isn't it?
try and bring them on viewings and things like that, right? And then I met it was a random encounter. You know Davy Hutton, right? So I was on the ferry going over to the Isle of Bute like last year, right? And then Davy was on the ferry, so. We just started talking to him and he said to me, what are you doing today? So I said, listen, I'm going over, I've got a viewing, this blah, 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 blah. I said, this is my son, I like to bring him on the journey with me, right? Yeah. And he just done the complete opposite. He just looked at him and he went, Ollie, he's like, don't listen to your dad, son, right? You know, in his crazy voice, right? Don't listen to a word your dad's saying. You do whatever you want in life, right? You do not listen to your dad. If you don't want to be part of your dad's business, you don't need to, right? Yeah. And I thought that was also interesting because he's correct, because sometimes you take
it for granted.
Because this is our journey, you think, do you know what, I'll bring them on board.
Yeah,
but there's maybe to a own extent they want to be on board. I mean, my dad's a mechanic. He's got his own business he had since before I was born. And probably at one stage he would have liked me to do the same thing.
Come into the same business with them.
But I've not got any interest.
Yeah.
So I think you also need to be respectful of maybe what we want for them and what they maybe want is maybe two different things.
100%.
Exactly. The sort of probably it is so interesting because like you say, your dad's seen his business and he's like, it's almost like for your children you want it to be easier for them.
Yeah.
And you assume that this is easier for them, but they're actually the big sponge that's sitting behind it going, Mum, no. Absolutely.
Not doing that.
And I think it is important that they see everything.
Yeah.
And I'm fully on board with that. But I think the type of mother that I am also is, if my kids tell me that they want to do something, because I was supposed to go to the police, like that was what I wanted to do. Right. There was nobody really guiding me on it. It was just an idea that popped into my head. Yeah, I'm going to be in the police. Like my career was, I say this, an accident, but it was a good accident. Whereas I look at mine and they are so adamant with what they want to do. Yeah. Like Freya, it's football. So do you know what, Freya? I'll help you with every single step that you need to help you become a footballer. So we're like our diet, our training, our everything, our like all of these things. Ashton wants to be a joiner now. I was like, right, okay, you want to be a joiner, but Ashton, why don't you be an architect? Like that's
you're deciding.
No disrespect, like my other half's a joiner, right? But I was like, why don't you become like an architect? You're so clever. I was like, Mum, I want to be a joiner. And that's him. That's what he wants to do. And he's decided that he wants to be leaving school at 16 and he wants an apprenticeship. And like I'll help him with everything that he needs so that he has that information. And I think we don't realise is like when they grow up and they have kids, they'll do the exact same thing. Whereas like I look at it and going, well, I didn't really have a clue what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I just picked something out the air and didn't really know about it. And reality is now that I know about it, I wouldn't have picked that.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that you always sort of try and that's probably why I'll put them off being an estate agent as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sadly,
Is,
you never end up, again, obviously everybody's got their own journey, but I don't think you never can end up where you thought you would be. So I mean, like, I started off, I was a chef to trade, and I thought, right, that'll be my career, right? And then I realised, well, it's a great job, right? But it's not that well paid, right? It's not going to.
The hours are dreadful.
Aye, I know. For what some of these really talented guys do, it's not well paid. That's to be straight to the point here, right? So that's not going to bring it. So I thought I'll go into sales, right, and end up. So I've done a couple of different careers, and then I even know myself right now. What I'm doing just now, I know still isn't, because I never thought like even a year down the line we'd be sitting here right now. So you end up doing other things that you never. And by the time you get connections and bump into people, you end up just doing something that you probably never thought you were going to do, regardless of where it started. So as you say, especially if you get kids, it's good to just support them, and then just they'll make their own mind up. They'll
make
do
their own
whatever.
mind up. And I think the more experiences that they have, the better decision that they'll make. And I think the more experiences you have in life anyway shapes you as a person on that journey.
Good and bad.
100%, aye.
Yeah.
So
aye. It's not really good for everything to always go good.
No,
because then you
not
don't
at
know how
all.
to handle.
You've got to try different things until you. It's the same when you're a kid and you've decided, because you've done ballet, you think, well, I'll send my daughter to ballet classes. She might be like, too heavy, too big framed, not have the right aptitude for it, but you've kind of railroaded her into it, and then, but she's maybe tried it, not liked it, that's fine, move on to something different. It was ages before my daughter decided that, picked something that she actually enjoyed. She tried dancing, she tried football, she's tried basketball, she's tried hockey. We're still trying to find the thing that she likes, but the fact of the matter is she's at least tried them all, and that's shaped her going forward, and she's making decisions all the time on that journey to go, this isn't for me, this isn't for me, 100%. And that's also good.
Absolutely, of course.
I suppose lastly there, when you've said you're used to, again, with your previous career having a lot of listings, right, and now you're going for quality over the quantity. See, when when it does start to slow down a wee bit, what do you feel is the best way to navigate yourself out that situation?
Like the negative mindset, sort of.
Aye, the negative mindset, but also the fact of is, right, you've got X amount of listings, right? You've now sold some and you've got less, right? What's your route to get it back on? Just keep going with your market, keep going whatever. What's your supposed self-belief? I know you've got a proven track record, right? So you know it's not going to fail, right? But what's your wee bit to try and to dip out of that? Because as you said, we've said nobody's paying your wage at the end of the month. Like, it is solely you.
I think, like, for me and the things that I do, so I obviously go to various different networking events, and it'll be people that I'll meet, it could be like developers, it could be people like yourself that might not need me right now, that I put the work in right at the very beginning. And I do that across social media as well. Like, I respond to absolutely everything. Like, you have to be at the forefront of somebody's mind, especially when it comes to stuff like that. But that doesn't guarantee that you're going to have a busy diary. And it's working through everything is an opportunity for me. And that's like everybody that I speak to, everybody that recommends me, everything, I need to make sure that I'm all over it. And I've always been like that, because I think when you are an estate agent, and it's quite cutthroat in our industry, is you have to really be all over it. And that was always something that was instilled in me when I was like a sales consultant when I was 17. It was all those things that I need to make sure that they have all the answers and everything else, but I don't leave it that they're away to somebody else, and naturally you will lose some and it might not work out. And equally it's trying to get in front of that person to get them to know who you are as well. There's a lot you can see in social media, but it's actually having that conversation face to face with somebody that makes such a difference. And if I do, like, for instance, nothing is linear. Like the journey and the diary and everything else.
It's like way off the cliff.
As of yesterday, I had like 3 appointments in my diary. I had 12 last week. but those 12 aren't all coming on right now. They're going to be, some are going to be waiting till spring because I have told them that. It's not about me. It's about this is the best time for you to come onto the market.
Yeah.
And when I am having that bad day where I go, this just isn't working, I recognise it's just a bad day.
Yeah.
And I take that time to sort of
reflect a bit.
Grieve in it. like feel sorry for myself. But then see the next day. I've like, right, you had it yesterday, Vikki. Back to it today.
That's it.
And you do everything that you possibly can. So that's making sure, like for me, see if we're not listing something on social media is we're putting something out there for somebody to see. Somebody ask a question of. And that's the thing, like, so even your content on social media, like social media is free, but I'll put up something that'll start conversations with people. And it could be the simplest little thing.
Yeah.
But for me, it's laying the groundwork so that you can get those opportunities. And that is through making sure that, my socials are always covered. Making sure that I am networking, meeting the right people, making sure that my service levels don't drop because I don't want that to happen, or anybody to go, oh, Vikki, you came out to value my house, but I never heard from you again after that. I kind of forgot about you.
That could just destroy. It's like the one tiniest wee thing like that just would just destroy.
Yep.
Especially as we keep talking about with social media. As much as you can, put all the positives on there, there is people who will destroy your business with one social media post, as you say, all because you never get back to somebody. So it is like, I'm going to digress for a second here, right? Because I think it's interesting, a couple of things you've said, right? Because I think what you're saying is that, like, to be like a top performing sales advisor across any industry, it's like your success now is like the work that you've put in like the past year. As you say, like those listings that you went out to, that you might have not got the listings for whatever reason at all, but the way that you've treated that person is like that. I always believe that, like, see, like one day, I don't know, next week, and you're having a bad day, right, and there's no inquiries coming through the door, whatever, that will be the day that person that you looked after last year that never get back to you for whatever reason, that will be the day that they'll pick up the phone to you and say, by the way, do you remember me? I need your help now. Because it's like all the work that you put in the past, that's what you're either like you're in this for the short term or the long term. If you're in it for the long term, you need to be putting in the work now and just thinking about, like, the future down the line.
It's leaving a lasting impression, isn't it? And you want it to be, my dad always taught me, leave people always with the best impression of you. Yeah. And then you've done everything you can. Yeah. It's up to that individual then at the end of the day. But then you've done everything that you can.
Every time that I leave somebody, I always make sure that is exactly as your dad says, like, leave them with the best impression. Because see if it's not, like, it's never about personal. Like, if I don't get that instruction or it goes to somebody else, you have to leave it and go, they've made that decision and what's best for them, and you have to be gracious and respect. Absolutely. Right. So you go, all the very best, and don't close it off. Just wait. If you ever need me in the future, if it doesn't go to plan, come back to me. You know where I am, because I always want to leave that door open as well. Yeah, but you're not closing it and going, oh, they'll not do this or they'll not do that. It's their choice.
That's coming back to having the right mindset for it though as well. Whereas somebody else would take that personally and be like, off with them the next time that they saw them, or aloof or whatever, come across that negative way. Yeah. But that's where your mindset has to be, like, on form all the time.
Just to touch on what you said there, so I was having that day. I was having that, my diary, like, is not busy like everything else. Changed last night. And like you, exactly as you just said, like, that was a client came back to me who I've sold for before. No questions asked. Vikki, what do you think I can get for this? And, booked in the diary, and that's it. So it changes almost overnight, and you have to have faith in it as well. Yeah. And I'm very big on, if you believe it'll happen, like, and you're doing everything that you can, it will come back to you. You just need to keep going.
Yeah.
You do good things happen. You do bad things happen. That's just like, it's like, we've all felt foul on both sides of the needle. Yeah, definitely. On that one. But the other thing I was going to just say, Ashley, there is that, I may be wrong, but you're the only agent that I certainly know of anyway, by the way, who networks with the other side of property, like our side. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. Because generally there's a kind of divide there. It's like, well, you're doing that side and I'm doing that side. But, like, I see you, like, all over social media at, like, networking events, I suppose I don't even need to ask the reason for that, right? Because it's pretty evident. If I've got something I want to sell, well, and if you're mingling with me, you're the first person I'm going to ask. But at the same point, why? I don't know. Why is that?
But it's natural because property is. I'm so passionate about it anyway. So you teach me something I don't know. Yeah. And that's the reason why I go to these events, is because I can teach you something that you don't know. But you should always be learning and investing in your education.
And sharing. I think sharing as well, which I think a lot of agents, they're very, it's mine.
Oh, and that's the part of it. But also for the way that the world is going as well, is if somebody comes to me with a property, let's just say, that's in disrepair and they're slightly embarrassed about it, because that happens. We don't show that as much. And I also know that there's another avenue. I can say to you guys, would you have a look at this and see if there's anything that you can do?
Yeah.
And that's that whole part of the parcel is along the way, is not everything does come to the market, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're selling something like giving it away or anything along those lines. It's helping find a solution to it all.
Exactly.
And I find it so interesting, the other side of it, being the agent, going, well, and I say this, up until probably about 3 years ago, I thought property was just sales and lettings.
Yeah.
So you guys, I learned so much
I've
from
getting
you.
involved in a world that I didn't even know I was getting involved in.
But that's how interesting is that there's so many different things. So I look at Sean asked me about if I had a mentor, and the truth is in terms of estate agency, I'll have people that I'll bounce off of, and people will come to me and ask me various different questions. But in terms of what I like to learn consistently off everybody else, so the estate agency side, I'll always learn every single day, but there's very little now that somebody else can show me that I haven't been, or I haven't throughout my whole career, because I've probably done every role in estate agency and lettings.
But that's an advantage. That's exactly what you should be doing. You should be doing all of it, and then you've got a broader knowledge of everything that's going on. You've got questions that you've got answers to. If you're doing that.
But I love asking questions for developers, investors, and I'm like, wow. This is so interesting.
But it's crazy to think, though, that a traditional agent wouldn't do that. It's crazy to think, though, that everything you're saying makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Why would we not want all these worlds to come together, right?
Because I think, sorry, on you go.
No, I'm just going to say that it's just crazy, because why would you not want them to come together? Because then, as you say, if you've got a property that just can't go on the market, right, just because it's run down, they don't want the photographs on their neighbours to see, right, and as we all know, you'll know more than me, right, every street has them. Every street has them. Some streets have multiple of them, and you would never even, my street will have it, your street will have it, everybody, there's always one in that street, right, that you never know what's happening behind closed doors. Closed doors, 100%. But it's just crazy to think, though, that traditional agents wouldn't want to have every option. You're a sales advisor. That is your job is to sell. So why would you not want to have every single possible avenue you possibly could to try and sell the product? But there's fundamentals in all jobs that are institutional, and it's that's not how we do it. Because probably back to what you said there about a mentor, right? Yeah, it's always good to have a mentor to some degree, but and again, there may be others, right? I know there is other people, other special. You're doing social media. I know there's others doing it, but you're certainly the first that I came across who was doing something a wee bit unique, who was actively, because my and again, only my experience, but I know I'm not the only one, right? My experience with general estate agents previously, right, hasn't been good, right? Because my opinion is most estate agents, right, and you'll probably want to slap me here, right? And my opinion is most estate agents, though, list the property and then they sit on the phone to ring, right? I had a property a couple of years ago in Dundee I was trying to sell, right? It was my own one, and it just wasn't selling, right? And I was getting frustrated with the agent, right? Because I was saying, and I actually said to her, right, I said, Steve, I actually hope this doesn't sell, right, by the time I move agent, because see if this sells, I'm going to be annoyed that you're taking a cut of this, because you've not done anything to sell it. You've just listed it on the website, put a wee thing in the door, right? And if this sells, it's not because you sold it, it's because just somebody wanted to buy it. And I think there's a difference, but there's a complete difference in what you're doing, because, and it's evident through social media, you're actually actively trying to sell the property, actively
which is
trying
what you're
to do
meant to
that.
be doing anyway.
Exactly, which is what you're meant to be doing.
So the way that I look at every single property is, and this is something like if you were clients of mine, you'll also see this real side of it where I get frustrated where I'm not like, because I can't force people to view your house. It's actually the hardest part.
Yeah.
It's the hardest part. So how can I entice people to view it? Well, I'll do really good marketing.
Yep.
I'll make sure they get all the information that they need. It will be photos that will make them go, oh, I like this.
Yep.
Or it'll be things like we put virtual tours and everything so they can walk through it, so they can see and get a feel for where everything is, the layout, everything. It'll be the social media tour, first of all, that'll go up across obviously all the platforms. And then it'll be everything that I do to go, right, this is giving me one head start.
Yep.
But we have so much data now that we can actually look back at it and go, right, how am I not getting viewers here?
Yep.
Is it price? Because that's something that you there's no real answer to price. Like it has to be priced correctly. But what your opinion is priced correctly, and what your opinion is and mine will all be different.
Mm-hmm.
So it's coming up with that common ground. We go, look, I'm looking at, for instance, you'll see it now more than ever, but I worked at the sort of 80s business model, I would say, with where it was the corporate world. And you'll see all of that. There's the high street agents where there's multiple branches, different locations. Like what you don't know is see those branches that have, those agents that have 5 and 6 different branches. Their costs are astronomical.
Especially, I could imagine that.
Because
the
you
operational
pay,
costs must
so
be...
Rightmove, okay, even Rightmove is minimum £1,200 a month plus VAT. So that's what you pay for your Rightmove subscription. It's the biggest website. It's annoying that you have to pay that, but it is the biggest
you need
website.
to be there.
Yeah. You need to be on another as well. So then you have Zoopla, which is £500 plus VAT a month. So that, before you've kicked a ball with anything, is your cost, right? Then you have the running of the branch. Then you have, so you're having to pay that per branch, by the way. You don't get because you're one branch, you have that. So it's per branch.
Yeah.
You then have 6 or 7 people, and then you have their fees that you'll have on top of that and everything else. And they'll be sitting there waiting for that phone call to happen. They can't do the same thing that we're doing in terms of the social media, because it has to be a boardroom meeting about a boardroom meeting and then everything else. I've been there. I know it. See, when you think about talking, I remember, and this was the bit where I left corporate to go and work for an independent. And that independent taught me more when I was with them than what a corporate estate agent would have done throughout that whole time.
It would have been refreshing as well, because it's
so refreshing.
They look at it in a completely different way, because again, as well as taking it from being a single mum and all the pressures on you, an independent has that exact same feeling, because they have to make that work as well, and they've also got shop fees to pay and all those kind of fees. So it's exactly the same situation. But I want it to work.
Yeah, and I think there's more estate agents like me.
Yeah.
It's just that I think the evolution of this sort of self-employed estate agent is coming through. Like, you're seeing a lot of great agents out there. Like, I think I look at other people and think they're doing a great job, and I always celebrate other people.
Yeah.
And I'm always there to sort of speak to people that are not having as good a day and try and throw some different advice. And it's always good to share what's going well and what's not. And I'll never be the person that picks up the phone and you say, or answers the phone and I'm asked how I'm doing and how's business. Oh, it's great, I'm smashing it and everything else. Like, I'm almost like, I said this to you when somebody else commented, like, you're smashing it. And I'm like, am I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, it's like, it's all these things that people expect now, like TikTok. People go on TikTok to Google things. Like, it's like Google. They go on.
I know.
And you go, and before you know it, like everybody, and I ask people that before I go out, how do you know about me?
Yeah.
Oh, you sold my house, or my friend sold their house through you, and they've actually recommended. Brilliant, fantastic. I know that. I've seen you on TikTok, or I follow you on TikTok, and a lot of people will say that. A lot of people will, and that's good because they see what I do.
Yeah.
And that always, like, all these different things that you're doing, you can promote your business on social media, and it's brilliant. But you are, like, for me now, it's like my brand. So you need to know about me, and there'll be people that will laugh and like, why is she posting stuff like that? But do you know what? You might not like it. That's fine. Don't follow me. That's okay.
I always think the same thing as well. See when you hear, see when these people, you know, let's be honest, everybody will have a wee circle of people that you upload something, they laugh about you and all that sort of stuff, right? But I always think, why not just see when you've got the option, like when something comes up, to just scroll through it, because there's something that I see that I don't like, I just scroll through it, right?
Exactly.
But as you say, like, just you do you, I'll do me, and then just like who cares? But you're always, I think, especially if you're exposing yourself on social media, you're always going to have that element of people, you know, want to troll you, or so to speak. But like at the end of the day, the only people that actually get wound up is them, because none of us actually care.
No,
you know, none of us care. You know, we know why we're doing it. We know why, as you said, like if you're an agent but you're uploading something else that's nothing to do with listing a house, we know the psychology behind that and the psychology of sales.
Yep.
So, like, you know, you're not really interested. The only people that gets wound up is actually them, because we know the reasons why you're either doing it. You're painting the full picture.
Yeah.
You know.
And you're letting somebody, because the thing is as well, like I look at it from a point of view is, if somebody's getting an estate agent out to the house, tends to be that you'll get more than one. That tends to be the probably 3. I've been one of 9 at one point. Like it's that,
wow.
But they already feel like they know me.
Yeah,
and it is like you can have a perception of somebody on social media, and that's fine. But I am probably still one of. There's not a lot of female valuers out there either. So it's still very male dominated, and people that have been in the industry for way longer than me. These are the guys that will be annoyed by my videos.
Yeah.
Because they see how things have changed and they can't really or won't put themselves out there. That's who I annoy.
Yeah.
Do I care? Nope.
Aye.
No,
not at
absolutely
all. Absolutely not at all.
Because the people that were buying houses, and this is Sean put as well, like I've made so many references to him in this. It's not your podcast, Sean. But like, the people that I'm selling houses to, like I forget this. Like I'm 36. There's people like that have grown up with social media and everything else. Like, am I going to go into a high street estate agent? No.
Aye.
No.
Do you go into estate agents now? Nope.
No.
Everything's so accessible online.
Yeah.
I know.
And that's why, like, my costs are reasonable.
Yep.
And that's because I don't want a branch. Whether that changes, I don't want one because I don't see the value in it.
Aye.
Yeah.
I would agree. Even if you did scale and you had multiple employees, as you said, everything's remote now anyway.
Yep.
So
That's
like,
right.
why would you want to bring the cost on? Because the only person that suffers, really, let's be honest, is
business owner.
Aye.
It's a business owner, definitely. It's just another headache, isn't it?
and
Something else to
potentially-
worry about.
And potentially the end user, because then their costs increase because your costs increase.
Yeah.
So if you can deliver a really good service at a reasonable cost, then ultimately that's what you're wanting.
See,
Absolutely.
I'm from the travel industry world, and that's exactly why travel industry went by the wayside, and loads of travel
Online.
agents shut because people were able to book their holidays online on their own.
Yep.
You know, they didn't need us anymore.
I think the way people's lives are as well, and it's almost like if you give somebody the option of sitting at home and doing something, or going having to travel.
Well, they even do it to shop.
Yeah,
Aye.
You know?
I never do anything like I never go anywhere or do anything that is unless it's like a trip to Primark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which if they went online, like that would be the only that sort of suffer to the high street. I think like if that ever went online. But again, it's like these things that you think of. Well, the only like shopping. So I mean, you can buy your groceries on Amazon.
I know.
That's
I know.
right.
I know.
That all these things that people do online now.
It's crazy.
But we wonder, like, it's happened so quickly that you're almost like, what is going to happen next? Will people need estate agents? I still think that they will, because it takes that sort of, you still need that person representing you. But again, who knows what the next 5 years would look like?
I think the only travel agents that have survived now are the likes of Barhead, who don't have multiple branches, whereas all the ATMAs, Lund Poly, Thomas Cook, that had branches in every town that had all those.
And they were
all
always
that
mobbed
expense,
as well.
and were always mobbed. They're the ones that have fallen by the wayside.
I would agree with you that I think you still need estate agents. I know there's a lot of people who have other opinions, because I know there is I don't know, what's it called? I've seen them sometimes in Rightmove. It's like, is it Yopa or something it's called? It's like one of these. It's like
Yopa,
I think, is it Yopa?
That's another online one, isn't it?
Or it's
Is it
like
Yopa?
where you can.
It's like,
I think
it's
Yopa
like
you
I
still
don't
have
need
any.
you.
Yeah.
I can just like upload it. I think you just like
I think
download an app.
Yeah.
I'll upload it, and it's kind of what they're trying to do. From my understanding, I may be wrong. If it's not them, it's somebody else. But I've definitely came across somebody that's like cut out the estate agent. Like basically what they're saying is cut out the estate agent. You download the app. You upload your own pictures. Upload your home report, right? And then kind of like so that's what they're doing. But what you don't have is somebody trying to sell your property.
Yeah.
That's what you're required for.
That's
that's what you always it's like you can put it online if you want, but you still need somebody to be able to sell it for you. Somebody who has the skills and database and knowledge to be able to sell the product for you.
And it's one of the most stressful things you can do, that and get married, isn't it? Apparently you're the top two. Selling your house and getting married apparently are the top two stresses in the world in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're absolutely right. Like I take away the financial awkwardness from people. That it's a business transaction for me at the end of the day. So I'm coming in to deliver. But also like I know what good looks like as well. So when you're posting your photos, like some photos will be absolutely fine on an iPhone. I'm not discrediting that. But I have to get them to love it before they see it. And equally I need to get enough of them in to then look at what I can do in terms of the plan. Like if I have 6 viewers in a house, I know I'm going to get a good result. If it happens quickly, I know I'm going to get a good result out of it. But equally, I need those people's feedbacks to know if I'm dealing with one offer or I'm dealing with 5 offers. And it's all those things that you have to look at it as an individual case by case, like what that plan is. Like, do we look at an offer just now? Do we send it to closing date? What do we do? And it's all these strings that you are pulling. Equally, I love my job. Like, so that is so much easier for me to go, oh, do you know what? Like, the end goal is a great end goal and everything else, but I'm still there till the very end. That key handover, I'm still there checking in. Hi, just making sure if you heard anything from your solicitor, what's going on. And at that point, even till the very end, and I go, oh, that was a great job. I always want that job satisfaction, and that for me is getting that. And I think you will always need estate agents. There equally is people out there that probably can sell their house and sell them for a great result, and that will just happen. It's like anybody selling a car. Like I wouldn't know where the first place to go. Like
100%. Listen, it's the same thing with selling a car. There's loads of people tried it in other ways. Yes, the world has moved. Just like we're talking about with estate agents, the world has moved on. Predominantly digital, but there's some fundamentals of some businesses that almost just can't change. You know, and the motor trade is one of them. To a degree. I've got one question for you before we finish up, right? I just want to know, is there anything that you miss from your previous job, like from the corporate world? Is there anything that you miss?
I think the ability to switch off.
Like
I feel like when I completed my day was like, that was
done.
It. But also, that's the only thing. Like there's so much more that I get from not necessarily working for myself, as in I'm still so new to this, so that I'm going through everything that probably everybody else is with starting a new business and coming away from it going, is this going to work and everything like that. But it's that having those moments where I don't have anybody to answer to. I like that. But the ability to switch off is probably the one thing. Like after 5 o'clock, job done. Back to it in the morning. I
would totally agree. And to be honest with you, I feel the exact same. Like I love not having somebody to answer to. Like I love honestly, see, like I'm humble enough to understand that you never know what's going to happen in business. So tomorrow, you know, one transaction doesn't come through, I'm ended. You know, so I'm humble enough to understand that. But at the same point, if I had to go back to employment, honestly, I would do like, I don't know, Uber Eats or something like that. See something that you can still you can still pick your own schedule. Like I could never ever go back to like somebody saying you must be here at this time and you must do this, you know, and you can't do the school running.
Kind of
hold on, exactly, and hold on. When do I want a haircut? Oh, I'll need to wait till next Wednesday till my day off. Like I could never ever go back to that. But by the same point, I do agree. Like I'm the same. One of the bits that I do miss is the ability to switch off. Like if you go on holiday, you book a holiday, I don't know, you book a holiday, you go away next week, you that phone, there's no point in time you can't have that phone with you. Like that phone has to be with you. You can't just turn it off and put it in a drawer, which you'd be able to do in your previous job. Especially kind of, what I'm doing as well with the holiday homes. Like you need that, because even if things are going amazing, I don't know, the boiler might pack it in, and before you know it, you've got a guest call and you're saying, I've not got any heating. That's happened several times, or whatever it may be. Right. Like, even if you're not physically working, you're still there, because you know that this phone could ring at any point in time, and I need to be here to answer it, and you can't. But listen, as we said, there's the pros and cons to both. Personally, I think we're on the same agreement set. I think we'd rather be on this table than back on the other side. I was no doubt in my mind I would never change that, but I think anybody who does want to go into business needs to listen to everything we've discussed and more, and understand that there's a lot of moving parts to
there's a lot of winging it.
Yes.
I couldn't get that word in there. There's a lot of winging it, people. And it is just trial and error, and every lesson is a blessing, as they say. Like that's everything that you get is you just have to reassess and go back, and it makes you hungrier for it. Yeah, absolutely.
That's life in general, isn't it? I think everybody gets bent out of shape about what is your life's journey, and young ones don't know where they're going anymore. But you think that is part of life, is not knowing. Yeah. You'll get there, and that's what makes it exciting.
Trust
I think.
the process.
And, just
100%. Trust the process. We'll finish.
Trust the process and chill out.
Yeah, exactly. Trust the process and chill out.
Try and chill out.
We'll finish. I think the try's the emphasised part there.
Exactly.
But listen, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Learned lots of new things today as well.
100%. For anybody who wants to follow you, we'll put all your social handles in the comments, etc. For anybody that wants to sell their house or follow Vicki's journey, then
please contact me.
Vikki Ridler, 5th Avenue Homes. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.